By the way, good question on my PS5 turning off. Terrible timing. Terrible timing. I was going to ask, because my camera here shows me one way, but then I feel like when it's live, it shows me the other. I have my camera mirrored. Does my camera appear mirrored for you or not?
No, you're fine. Because I'm looking at the flag in the background, and that's all the right way around.
That's interesting, because I'd prefer it mirrored, weirdly enough, but it's all right.
Do you?
I don't know why it doesn't mirror it. Yeah, I actually prefer it mirrored. I feel weird seeing myself not mirrored for sometimes when I'm on camera, but I don't know. Oh, it's fine.
Because mine's mirrored. Because like the Bill Shankly thing there is mirrored on my screen, but I don't know if it is for you.
That's interesting. It's not mirrored. It's not mirrored for me. I see it normally.
It's not backwards. StreamYard's backwards. StreamYard is messing things up.
It does. It lies to you because it tells me, for example, that right now I'm not mirrored, so I can see like LFC. Oh, sorry, LFC is the right way here, right?
Yeah.
So this is LFC, and you can read that it's not backwards, right?
Yeah. It's fine for me.
That's interesting because I will mirror my screen. So watch. Now I've mirrored my screen, but it doesn't change for you, does it?
No, it's fine for me.
That's so interesting. I don't know. I'm used to watching myself mirrored, so I feel like my face looks really fucking wonky when I don't have it mirrored. I know that sounds really fucking stupid.
No.
But like,
you know what,
in my head, go on.
No, I was gonna say I like that you've said about LFC backwards, because that's a pretty good way to describe everything at the minute, man. It's a bit of a shit show, to be honest.
No, look, fucking king of segues, honestly. Have we got? We're live. Look at you. That's why you did it. Right, that's what Lewis is doing, by the way. He'll never tell me when we go live because he's trying to catch me out. I don't know whether I said anything bad there, but we'll find out. We'll find out
before we started. Let's be honest.
Well, that was to do with you and your hobby, son. I hobby. At the end, it's just a form of income for you, I suppose. No, listen, things feel a bit backwards at Liverpool right now. I think we're in a weird situation. That's what I think. I think it's really easy right now for all of us to target one individual at the club, whether it be a manager or a player or someone at the higher ups. But I feel like collective responsibility is lacking right now. And to be honest, that goes down to the leadership as well. Like, we have a leadership team, or we apparently have a leadership team, with Robbo, Van Dijk, Salah. I don't know who's been promoted to it in the last 12 months or so, but if Alisson's involved, but I do feel like there's a lack of responsibility being taken at times by players. And listen, I'm not on about necessarily coming out in interviews. I don't need an interview after every game saying we will do better, we will be better. But on the pitch, I don't see enough voices. I see a lot of people complaining and throwing their arms up in the air at each other, but I don't see many people going, right, come on, lock in, let's focus, let's get through the next 5. And I think that's really been costing us. And don't get me wrong, Slot obviously rightfully is getting a lot of criticism and a lot of the blame, but I do think it's interesting to note that our worst players this season have been the players that I think carried us to a title last year. And that's not at Salah, that is at Gravenberch, that's at McAllister, it's a Gakpo, that's a Van Dijk, that's a Canate. That's at all the players. I think it's really easy for people right now to be like, oh, Salah this, Salah that, or just Van Dijk this, Van Dijk that, or just Slot this, Slot that, or just Hughes, just Edwards. There's a lot of collective responsibility that I think people are avoiding to run their own personal narratives right now. Maybe that's bias of me to say in some way. And listen, I'm not telling anyone how to feel, but I feel right now we have a lot of finger pointing, but a lack of accountability from the club. What about yourself? Where do you stand with it? Because I feel like we're similar in a way, but how do you feel?
I don't know, because it is the lack of accountability. Like Hughes and Edwards are never ever going to come out and say, "Yeah, we've messed up." No owner or sporting director or anyone is going to come out and say, "Look, held my hands up, and I've ballsed up." They're not going to do it. Slot's the one who's taking the brunt because he's the manager, and for us, naturally, like as a fan, I could care less about backroom politicking and what goes on behind the scenes. I just want to see results. All I'm asked about is what we see on the pitch, and what we see on the pitch for me is the biggest worry, because we've gone from a structurally sound team last season to this mess, this side that lacks attacking identity, defensive structure, energy in midfield, to this absolute. It's a shambles at the minute. So Slot is going to face the brunt of responsibility, but he's not doing himself favors. And that's the fit.
Tell me about it. When you say he's not doing himself favors, tell me specifically. Because like let's get down to business. I'll say this. I think some people have had it out for Slot and they've waited for a moment. I think others are completely justified in their criticism. I do think there's been some fairly unfair criticism thrown his way. I do think it's been too harsh at times. There have been personal attacks on this. I think personally attacking a manager
personal attacks wrong. Personal attacks wrong. But
it is wrong, and I don't think it's justified. Like, don't get me wrong. I've let the odd comment go, and I'll hold my hands up. But I think there is some consistent thing where people are like making out that Slot is an awful manager. I don't think Slot's an awful manager. I don't. No, he's think not. That. I think he's. So where do you stand then? So tell me the mistakes that he's made.
Well, I think coming out and saying, "Look, we're unlucky." Let's be honest. We're unlucky this match. We're unlucky. How many matches can you be unlucky in? Do you know what I mean? It's not luck. It comes down to how you're set up. He's coming out and slandering players in the media. Maybe not high profile. Like, he's not coming out and saying, "Oh, Virgil's shite." He's not coming out and saying Salah's awful. You know, that whole drop thing. But coming out and being like, "Well, you know, Calvin Ramsey can't be, you know, we've got better right back options, and your right back option ahead of him is a midfielder who, if you take him out of midfield, you're losing your most important midfielder."
Lewis, I'm not defending it, but he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but you don't say that.
But then
you don't say that.
Defend a player when he because people have said this when he slandered Canate. I think it was a couple of weeks back. Remember Canate put in a bad performance. He said he's been more in the wrong position than the right, or paraphrasing. Well, Van Dijk made a mistake on the weekend. He came out and defended Van Dijk. Mo Salah, when he was asked midweek leading up to the game, you're going to drop Salah. He kind of again expressed Salah's importance to the club. I'm only playing devil's advocate here because I do agree with you. Some of his comments have been, "This is how we got to run the pod, Lewis. I'll take the brunt this time. We'll swap roles next time." But like, I do think it's our show, don't you? Oh yeah, it's my show. Yeah, I actually take the profits. I run Beyond The Kop. But no, listen, I do think that. Oh, Tom Little's here. Bloody hell! Right, Tom. You see,
standards have been raised.
We've got to. I've got to fucking put my thinking cap on now. Tom's going to be judging me. I do think though. No, listen. Jokes aside. I do think. Listen, he's not helped himself. I think tactically at times we've been really poor. Out of possession, I've seen OOP said by about more people than I've ever seen it before in the last month. People are obsessed with OOP now. But they are right in criticising. I think off the ball we're far too passive. It was a criticism of his at Feyenoord by his own fans, by own people that are tacticals, if you want to call them that. That was the one criticism they had, was out of possession. It was passive and it was easy to play through. And I do think we've seen that throughout the season. And I don't see I don't see anything in our press which feels Liverpool-like. Does that make sense? I feel like...
Yeah.
What do you think?
I said this weeks ago. I've said this for months and months, and it's become my mantra. And I said it on the show last week. I'm not asked who we play, who we have in the team, what the situation is, who the manager is. I just want to see energy. I want to see work rate. I want to see desire. I want to see us try to win the ball back. I don't want to see us go from absolutely, let's face it, thumping Marseille 3-0 at their ground against one of the best attacking teams in Europe to then go into the Vitality Stadium and, let's face it, get dicked up and down the pitch, being saved by a set-piece goal from Van Dijk, brilliant, and then a free kick from Szoboszlai where he's had to bail us out again in another situation. I don't want to be seeing that.
I agree with that, but I think one criticism that I don't align with, I think on the ball, for the last couple of games, listen, the second half last week was fucking abysmal. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. But on the ball against Bournemouth, we cut through them multiple times. Our forward decision-making was just bizarre. Like, there was multiple times where it was, okay, shoot, and they passed, and then it was, okay, now pass, and they shot. The decision-making never made sense to me. And then how much of that do you put down to coaching? How much do you put down to confidence? How much do you put down to just play decision-making? And then you look at the goals we conceded against Bournemouth, though. Yeah, the Van Dijk mistake, listen, I don't really blame. The win was very hard to judge, and I absolutely agree. I'm not going to hold him to that. That kind of goal just happens. You're going to... Every team
the one where he tries to clear it and he just sort of does that.
He misjudged it.
Yeah, but did we say he misjudged it though? But I've seen him do that against Leeds in the first game of the season in 2021-22 after we 2020-2021. I've seen him do it against Arsenal after we'd won the league, and he did that exact same mistake. Like that, he's culpable for that mistake, Van Dijk. And I love Van Dijk, you know I do. He's one of the best players we've ever had, but he has got that sort of blasé, casual nature about him, and you can see Frimpong. He's on the edge of the box and he literally looks at it and stops because he thinks, all right, he's just going to put his foot through this and get rid of it. And he tries to do that blasé little tap of the ball that he does. Just get rid of
I
it.
agree with that.
Just blast it out. You don't need to. Not everything has to be perfectly
dealt with. But we agree that's not a Slot mistake there tactically. So then just bear with me. Slot then screams for 4 minutes on the touchline for us to kick it out of play so we can get their player on because we're down to 10. No one hears him, or if they hear him, they don't execute what's being requested. And then we can see the second because we're down to 10 men. And again, Van Dijk's playing the player on side. So the 2 goals that we can see there, that's put us 2-0 down. And I can't put down to tactics. I'm not defending Slot. Listen, the tactics have been wrong multiple times this season. And absolutely, he's been culpable for some of the worst performances. Nottingham Forest, for example, right? But then there are times like this where I don't think the players aren't playing for him. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. But I don't think the players...
I agree with you on that one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't get a performance like Arsenal. You don't get a performance like Marseille if the players aren't playing for him. You just don't get that performance. I've seen players not play for managers plenty of times. That performance doesn't happen. But there is something in the psyche right now, which is it just seems to be straight through the pitch, straight through the team. I understand the fatigue argument to an extent because Gravenberch look absolutely fucked. Can we swear on this channel? I don't know. Is that going to kill you?
We're down the rabbit hole. Let's just get as long as there's no C-bombs, we're fine.
Oh, well, that ruins my next sentence. No, I'm joking. But no, I think Gravenberch looked absolutely knackered. But then the argument then becomes rotation. You know, if you're not playing Nyoni or you're not bringing Jones or you're not moving players around more, because we had the opportunity to make subs against Marseille and he didn't make them. You know, again, it comes down to rotation if the players are being fatigued. Again, it comes down to coaching, comes down to management. And then the long throw in at the end was just a disaster of composure, which we've seen against Spurs and we've seen against Leeds and we've seen against Chelsea and we've seen against Palace. The list goes on. So that for me was coaching. But like, I don't know.
I agree that there is some individual errors and there's certain people in this team that are culpable. Like, for example, McAllister in recent months. I know you're like a McAllister apologist, but
hey,
like,
listen, no, I hear it.
He's not been good enough, and that's not down to coaching. That's just down to him. Do you know what I mean? Like that's his fault. Konate's errors are his errors. But at the same breath, we shouldn't be in a situation where if it's Liverpool, for example, of the past, and I know Klopp is just unmatched. You can't. But if those errors happen, our mindset isn't right. Okay, let's just control the ball. Let's take the sting out of the match. It's right. How can we get a goal? And we shouldn't be in a situation where an individual error is that costly for us. We shouldn't be struggling against the Bournemouth who have won one match in the last 14, who have lost their best attacking player, who got cherry picked apart in the summer. We shouldn't be in that situation to begin with. And it keeps happening over and over again. And we pick up a massive win against Inter. We pick up a win against Madrid. And I keep saying it's important what you do in the follow-up. The follow-up's draw into Leeds, who've just been promoted. The follow-up is draw into Burnley, who've just been promoted and are going to get relegated. The follow-up is we've just come off the back of beating one of the best attacking teams in Europe, and the follow-up is losing 3-2 to a team who, let's face it, should not a battle in relegation or there or thereabouts. It shouldn't be the situation like that. And that comes down to, yes, individual errors, but it's the way we set up. We just look so weak and passive. We're getting bullied by midfielders I've never even fucking heard of. I didn't even know there was a Jimenez for Bournemouth. Who the fuck is he? Why is he going around and bullying Dominic Szoboszlai?
He put in some fucking shift. He did his best to rattle Kirkus.
I never even heard him.
I had heard of him, but I must say I walked away quite impressed by him. But it's a hard one because listen, you can stand here and you can reel off the reality of things. There was a massive changeover in the summer. There was an awful tragedy that happened. There was a weird atmosphere going into this season of both excitement, nerves, and also mourning, which is a very hard combination. For what it's worth, I think Slot handled everything that happened with Jota with absolute class. I think.
Oh, definitely. You know, he's a dull, not a dull person per se, but he's very articulate and he's very emotionally intelligent to situations like that. Exactly,
which then leads on to probably my biggest criticism, which is his man management. Which I think one reason why. If you look through Liverpool managers of the recent past, I'll go from Rafa. Because Rafa's the example I always use with him. But the difference was Rafa, the Champions League, and I think was it the League Cup against West Ham? Was it the FA Cup? I can't forget. The FA Cup. There were just moments where the team were able to produce a Liverpool moment while Rafa was in charge. Rafa was able to entangle himself with the fans, and Rafa was able to push whether it was intentional or unintentional. I think intentional because he's a very smart guy, Rafa Benitez. When things weren't going right, he was able to angle things towards the owners as being the issue. You know, to the media when everything went down with Alonso and Barry, he was able to push a certain narrative. When we had an awful summer after awful summer, the narrative was able to be pushed. A correct narrative, because Hicks and Gillette were absolutely, they were a cancer to the club. Now, personality-wise, I find Rafa very similar to Slot. Slot very similar to Rafa. Very pragmatic, very tactics-based, very stubborn and very blunt. And when they've been found out, they aren't going to admit it right away. What I don't think he has is a good, I don't want to be too critical, I suppose, but I think the coaching staff around him, there doesn't seem to be an array of ideas here. I think what Klopp did very well with Buvik and then with Linders was he had someone different in his ear that would be able to offer a different perspective, a different idea. It wouldn't always work, okay? But you had Buvik, who was the mind, and you had Linders, who was this expressive, open play sort of magnet. I know people joke and dunk on Linders a lot, but he's lauded as a very good coach. Like in football, Linders is very, very respected. I know it didn't work out for him as manager. I know Liverpool fans clown because of the book and everything, but there's a reason Guardiola wanted him. Guardiola doesn't want an average coach.
I quite enjoyed the book, I won't lie.
I never got around to reading it. I kind of got put off because of everything that was going on. Have you got it there, have you? I noticed that's not in the camera frame.
I quite enjoyed it, you know.
Right. But that's what I mean. But I think he's missing a star man next to him that could help him tactically, I think, at times. He needs someone to bounce ideas off.
Yeah. Van Bronckhorst is not the man to do that.
He's not. He's really not. And I'm curious, because we're going to come on to Alonso now. I'm curious whether they let him do what Rodgers did. When Rodgers had an awful season as a Liverpool manager, he threw all his coaching staff under the bus to give him another 4 more months of life. You remember that?
Yeah. And he got that second window spending like 100+ million again.
Yeah, and it was bloody awful. Now, I'm curious to see if they do the same with Slot. Now, Slot has the cachet of the league. For whatever you think about the man, that is a reality. So I think that has probably kept him in the job here. I do see a situation where potentially in the summer it goes, right, we're changing your coaching staff. We're bringing XYZ and we're getting rid of XYZ. They've kind of already started that with the set piece guy.
Yeah,
I think Von Bronckhorst goes. I really do. I don't see him. I think his position is untenable. I'm curious to see what they do from there. I could see the argument of bringing Gerrard into the fold somehow as a coach. I'm just thinking pragmatically, I don't see them as much as I'm for the idea of replacing Slot. Let me make this very clear. I'm for that idea. I don't see it happening during the season at the moment unless things become how the higher ups view as untenable. I think a fair amount of fans, match-going fans, online fans, if you want to divide them like that, there is a fairly general consensus to football's not entertaining enough. Off the ball, we don't seem aggressive enough, and there isn't enough that is captivating the fans, you know, and the players don't seem filled with confidence, right? So what do you do?
When Rodgers got sacked, so funnily enough, I was watching do you know the Premier League years thing they do on Sky? It was literally on just before we came on. I love
Premier League years, by the way.
It's so good, Premier League years. And it was 2015-16. It was the Leicester one, and I got to the point where Rodgers got sacked because that was after the draw of Everton, weren't it? And up until then, because obviously the season before was a mess, but I think the club looked at that and thought, right, you've just lost Suarez. It's going to be a bit of a shit show. Let's be honest. We'll give you time. New signings, arguably 2 of them stuck, that being Lallana and maybe Lovren at that point, but you had like Markovic, Balotelli, Lambert, Moreno, and Keogh. Firmino was 2015-16. I'm talking about the summer before.
Sorry, yeah.
And he had that awful window. We finished 6th, I believe it was, after the Stoke loss, and they went, okay, give you 1 more window. And then this was the results before he got sacked. He beat Stoke City 1-0. He beat Bournemouth 1-0, drew 0-0 against Arsenal, lost 3-0 against West Ham, lost 3-1 against United, drew 1-1 with Norwich, drew 2-2 with Villa. Beat Villa 3-2, and then we drew with Everton 1-1.
Yep.
That is not an awful situation. Like, if you think of those results in isolation, that's not an awful scenario. The problem is, because of 2013-14, we put ourselves into a position where we're like, right, we should be going for the league. We didn't expect the drop-off we did, and we sort of tried to run before we could walk, so to speak. Now with Slot, you've got a far better squad than Rodgers had. Do you know what I mean? For Ben Teke up top, for him, we have Ekatike. For Martin Skrtel and Dejan Lovren at the back, we've got Van Dijk and Konate. In goal, they had Simon Mignolet. We've got Alisson. It's a far better squad. And the results that we're seeing under Slot, we've not won in 5. We've drew 4 times against newly promoted teams. We've just lost to Bournemouth. We scraped a win against 9-man Tottenham. And the expectation is higher. And the fact that there's so much confidence around Slot now, who, he won the league. Yes, he did a brilliant job. If you think about that season, we were fortunate to win that league. He had Klopp's team, yes, which a lot of people throw, but you also had City, who fell off a cliff because of Rodgers' injury. You had Arsenal, who capitulated.
Because I don't buy you. You're never fortunate to win the league, Lewis. I don't believe that. I think if you win the league, you've won the league. I think that is the one trophy you can't be fortunate to win. It's 38 game season.
Not fortunate in the sense of he deserved it, of course, but it was a season.
But I hear that, but at the same time, you've got to be in the race to win the race. We were in that regardless. 84 points, most Premier League seasons on average is going to win you the league, or at least guarantee a top 2. Only in the last 7 or 8 years where Pep and Klopp kind of came in, were we seeing these consistent 90s. 84 most seasons gets you the league. Under the Fergie, I'm pretty sure they had I might be wrong here. Pretty sure they had a median of, I think it was like an 82, 83 point. I think
the most he won it on was 88, because Chelsea got 95 in 04-05, and that was the record at that point.
That was nuts. Now, this is what I mean. I think the football we played, I was watching some of the highlights from it literally this morning. Some of the football we played last season was spectacular. Like we controlled games, we played teams off the park. It was a lot more controlled. It was slower, but it was still intense. It was still purpose. I don't buy the Salah carry job. Salah was phenomenal that season, one of the best individual seasons I've ever seen. But Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, McAllister, Gravenbergs, Jota in moments, Nunez in moments, Diaz, everybody was there. Everybody was fantastic. Kelleher, Alisson, everybody was fantastic that season. The way things have fell off, I just, maybe we'll find out in a couple of years. Maybe like the internal issues will come out. You know how Liverpool move like internally, if the player or manager moves on, within 3 months the truth comes out in the paper. Like that's how Edwards and Hughes, whether it's intentional or not, there seems to be a pattern in that. Because the Klopp hit pieces that were coming out after Klopp left, I thought was just ridiculous.
Mamadou Sakho coming out and giving him shit.
Oh, just fucking nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. So I listen, I don't know. If Slot is the issue, then so be it. Alonso seems to be everyone's favourite. So listen, let's move on to the actual conversation that Tom Little popped in here to remind us of. Xabi Alonso. Great.
This got heated when we spoke about it last week when we did Anfield Index. So we'll see how that goes again.
We might as well have this conversation and we'll have it properly. I've had a bit more time on it. First and foremost, let's talk about the main news that came from this. Indicalia, whether you trust him or not, Spanish media outlets, whether you trust him or not, have all started to circulate around the idea Xabi Alonso is a matter of when, not if. Conversations have been had at the higher level, Slots under an incredible amount of pressure, etc. Nothing solid seems to have came of it. We haven't had the usual Slot has the full backing that we seem to get every 14 days as of yet, that normally comes out. Where do you stand on it? Do you think there's any validity behind it? Is it a case of Quara bag or bust?
I think if we lose to Karabag and we end up in a situation whereby we have to go through those it's a knockout stage you go into, isn't it? If you can't, you have to go through a qualifying round if you don't finish in the top. Yeah. If we end up in that situation, I think it needs to be done. I think that will be his 1-1 draw against Everton that got Rodgers sacked. That'll be the Blackburn game for Hodgson. I think that'll be it. Because we can't be in a scenario where we're struggling against Karabag, who I've never heard of them. I've never heard them. They beat Chelsea. That's all I know. And you go on the player profile on Google, it doesn't even come up with any search results for you. That's how fucking obscure this team is. Do I think that?
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think on the Alonso link then?
I think well, he was linked to us, wasn't he? He was the one we were in discussion with before we went with Slot. So I think we'd be foolish not to be looking at it. It wouldn't fix everything. That's my only thing. There's a really intelligent fan who I'm mates with called Sam on Twitter, and he keeps saying it himself. He's like, look, Slot's shit at the moment. We know this, but just sticking Alonso in, who's going to have the same injury problems, the same contract problems, the same everything behind the scenes, isn't just going to be an immediate fix. But you need that sort of. It's clear to me Slot can't motivate this team. I don't think Slot's got it in him. I don't think he's got it in him to personality-wise, his tactics, everything. Doesn't matter who we're against. It's all well and good playing the way we are against Arsenal away, who you know are going to dominate the ball. But when I'm playing newly promoted teams, relegating, battling teams, you have to change. And he doesn't have that in him at the moment. It's like if plan A doesn't work, there is no plan B. Alonso at least would give us a bit of tactical flexibility. At least he would change things. If we're going up against the team who are a lot more attacking, he'll drop that free at the back system if he has to. He can play counter-attacking football. He can play possession. Slot at the moment just seems resistant to change. And I understand that it's a fairy tale thing having Alonso come in as the manager because of the lineage and the history of him with Liverpool, and he's adored by the fan base because of Istanbul. And I'm not saying it's going to be an immediate fix, but we need that lift. We need that positive lift.
It's the lift. I personally, I'm not against. Could you talk about a lift, right? I hate bringing in I know it worked with Klopp. I know it worked with Klopp before someone comes in with it. And I know it worked with Dalglish to settle the ship. I hate bringing in a new long-term manager mid-season. I think it's unfair to them. I really do. You got to give a manager a pre-season to embed ideas. I'm not against interim. I like the idea. Again, you're talking about fairy tales. I like the idea of a Gerrard interim. I'll explain why.
Just really quick, sorry. Is that not the same as Lampard at Chelsea, though? Are we not making that mistake when he went back?
Well, when you look at when Lampard first went back to Chelsea, it worked. First 18 months, he played the young players. He reinvigorated the team. He reinvigorated the fans. It worked. The only time it didn't work was the last 8 months. There's a lot of reasoning behind that, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of player power went the other way. And I also think Chelsea's an impossible place to have patience. And I think for what it's worth, I actually think Lampard's quite a solid manager. I think he was unlucky with Everton. I think it's a very difficult job. I think Chelsea did all right with on the first occasion, second occasion, he was getting a check. And I think he's doing very well with Coventry at the moment. But be that as it may, Gerrard is. You bring Gerrard in because right now the two things Liverpool need that will instantly get Liverpool back on track is intensity and the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Easy way to get a bit of unity in that squad. Bring in a Liverpool legend, someone the fans are going to adore. That has also got the passion, right? I think Slot was a wonderful breather from Klopp. I really do. You know, Klopp was starting to lose his mind at the main stand because everyone that sits in the main stand doesn't fucking sing. They just sit there with fucking popcorn, right? Fucking hate the main stand. One of the quietest stands you'll ever see. I think it is. I was there.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
I worked on the main stand for about 4 months because I was shite at my job behind the kiosk. I never fucking did it. I just sneak off to watch the football. But when that first opened, I was there, and it was actually pretty solid. But it's just got quieter and quieter and quieter. So I don't know what fixes that. But Klopp near the end, he was turning around complaining about the lack of noise. But what Klopp had was he had this energy that would lift the crowd. When we need to get going, he'd lift the crowd. I think Gerrard has, not to that extent, but he's got the passion in him where if something doesn't go right, he's going to yell about it. He's going to clearly be frustrated. And Anfield reacts to emotion in the right way. I think he can help make Anfield a cauldron again. And if it's just to stir the pot, to get things moving again, to get the juices flowing again for a couple of months, bit of form, some good results, some good performances, players feeling like a family, a team again, the fans feeling a part of it again, which I think is a big thing. I feel like there's a huge disconnect this season between the fans and the players. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Do you feel that as well?
I think it's the results, but like Anfield Road Pod says here, it's okay bringing intensity and passion, but if you're tactically out of your depth, then we have a problem. And it's like there is a strong disconnect because of performances on the pitch. And my worry is it's great bringing Gerrard in for the story and being like, right, you're an interim manager till the end of the season, just try and get everyone back on side. But you're asking these fans, you're asking us to get behind a manager who they know is not, let's face it, he's not good enough to be Liverpool manager or maybe even an interim. It's all well and good us saying, well, it's Gerrard, you'll get the intensity going, you'll get the passion going. If we start getting battered, if we start struggling, if like worse than we are, or results don't improve or we get thumped, It's just going to wear off as quick as it came in. And you can't. The good thing about Klopp was he was passionate, he was intelligent, but he was also very good tactically. He could drag a win out, or he could smash a team. I don't think Gerrard's going to be able to do that. And we saw it at Villa. Like, he's very good at getting players geared up and getting the fans geared up. But when he's getting pumped week in, week out, that fades quickly. And all you're left with then is just someone who feels like they're putting on a pantomime, and everyone's looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't justify it if you're not getting wins.
I get that. I really think the Gerrard Villa wasn't a good mix. I'm not trying to say Gerrard's
yeah.
I think Gerrard's a great manager. I think it was a step too soon for him. I don't think Gerrard's a terrible manager, which a lot of people made him out to be. I don't think he helped his reputation by going Saudi. Let me make that clear. What he did at Rangers was absolutely phenomenal.
That was remarkable. Yeah.
Yeah. That is very quickly discounted. I think the way people speak about him and how he is in the dressing room, both as a coach, because remember, he managed our under-21s, as a coach, I don't think that resonated with a Villa side that were very comfortable finishing top 10. I think Emery did very well to get some bad eggs out, to get some new eggs in, and Emery's a phenomenal... Emery's top echelon, right? Emery's phenomenal. And Emery's playing style worked very well with Villa. I think Gerrard... I just think for 4 or 5 months, I'm not saying he's going to get the permanent job. I like the idea of him coming in back as a coach under Alonso, whatever. But I do think you need someone in there now for 4 or 5 months before Alonso comes in, just to... I like this idea. Yeah, absolutely. Bring Gerrard in with him. I like that. That's fine. Christ, get Carragher on the team, lads. Get the band back together. Just get Istanbul on the coach. Just get
Sammy Hip,
Jimmy Traore. Get Kuhl involved.
Not having Jimmy Traore anywhere near. He's a manager now, isn't he? I'm sure he's managing an international team.
What's his credentials, man? What's his written on the form?
Jimmy Traore. So he is.
Are we gonna get a Jimmy Traore on the bandwagon?
He's currently the coach at the Right to Dream Academy, which is a youth association football academy system based in Ghana.
Sounds like he's ready for the job.
He was also a Seattle Sounders assistant coach for 7 years.
Right. So what I'm hearing there, tell me if I'm wrong, he works incredibly well with youngsters. He's worked overseas. He's got 7 years as a head coach. Jimmy Traore. Imagine the scenes. No, Lewis, you don't have to defend it. I'll paint the picture for you. A phenomenal fullback, a world-class player that used to play for us, Jimmy Traore. And he can come in, and you think Jimmy Traore, he's going to reinvigorate the fans. He'll be on the touchline. A passionate player, a great player, a world-class player, could show Van Dijk a thing or two. Could really bring Kirkers on. I think Jimmy Traore may be the solution. If not Jimmy Traore, then who?
No, you know what? If it's not Jimmy Traore...
Who would be the best former player to take over Liverpool? Who can be the funniest one?
The funniest, if you're on about like who the shittest one would be.
Neil Warnock. Not Neil Warnock. Yeah, Warnock.
No. Neil Mellor? Is that who you're on?
No, the other Warnock. The one that never got on the flight for Istanbul. Got kicked off last minute. Stephen Warnock.
Yeah.
He'd be great.
Stephen Warnock. I was thinking El Hadji Diouf. Someone's put Igor Biscan.
Biscan would be unbelievable. Jovanovic.
Mate.
I'm pretty sure his son plays. His son's involved somewhere, isn't he? I've heard
Jovanovic.
Jovanovic's got a son.
Milan Jovanovic. I'm Googling Milan Jovanovic's son on 241 on a Monday.
That is what you should be doing. Darzo97 says David and Gog. That's a great shout, by the way. Ryan Babel. By the way, I like Ryan Babel. Ryan Babel's fucking class. Big fan of that.
You know what? Ryan Babel, I think, is one of the more underrated wingers that we've had. He wasn't class, but he's decent. Like.
He was.
He apparently plays for Stuttgart. Milan Jovanovic's son. Stuttgart bought him for €6 million from Red Star Belgrade.
Oh Christ! No idea where I got the idea that he played for us. Then. All right. Jokes aside. I like the idea of just going through though and just being like, who's the worst former Liverpool player that you can just get involved?
Gog.
Hey,
it's El Hadji Diouf without fail.
El Hadji Diouf, Balotelli as assistant manager, Ricky Lambert in charge of the youth academy.
Michael Stensgaard, the goalkeeper who he got injured by an ironing board in his house and he never played for us again. Never played for us once. He was a goalkeeper we signed in 90. Just before we tangent on, I think it was 94 or 95. It was early days, and he was meant to be David James's backup, and he tried to open an ironing board in his house and he dislocated his shoulder and he needed surgery. Never played for us again, or once.
That's tragic,
Never.
man. Oh man, that's tragic. David James, slip your fingers. God damn, now you bring the mood down.
Sorry, man.
Right, no, Lewis. Right. I've already said my piece about I prefer an interim to come in than Alonso in the summer. Should we make that change? Lewis? Would you like Alonso to come in now? And if so, what effect does that have?
Well, I think it galvanizes the team. I want to see it. I think Slot's time, the more it's going on, because the issue is, it's one thing when the whole fan base is sort of united against the manager. I think that's a really big thing. It becomes more of an issue when the fan base is divided amongst itself. And you've got people who are defending Slot, saying we're not a sacking club, we're not a club that get rid of their manager, and you've got another half who want him gone. At this moment in time, after what's happened with Shota, after what's happened with injuries and going for the league last season, this should be the time where we're the most united thing the most united club on the planet. Because of Slot's tactical issues and because of the defeats and because of the losses, the fan base is split. And we need someone who's going to come in and is going to add a bit of energy. And now, if I was to sit here to you and say, right, Alonso is going to come in a week, inside you would be like, oh my God, that's big, that's massive. You would feel an energy straight away. And the big thing that those players on the pitch are missing at the moment is it just feels like they miss drive. It feels like they miss energy. It feels like they miss some sort of galvanizing reason to go out there and play. Slot is not the man to do that. We need a boost. And I get what you're saying about pre-season. Managers need pre-season. Let's not forget, when Souness got sacked from Liverpool after the, I think it was the Barnsley loss, Roy Evans came in. That was January. And immediately we saw a push and we went on and won the FA Cup. When Hodgson left, Dalglish came in January. We went on and reached 2 cup finals. Klopp came in after Rodgers and there was an immediate boost. So it's all great us saying they need pre-season, they need time to build. But if you're Alonso, if you can get us a decent push to the end of the season, you're then going into pre-season with even more momentum. You're going in there with a good few months for us, and you've proved that you are capable of changing this round. Something has got to change at the moment, and I just think the players we've got, we may not have a lot of these players for the past the summer window. And we need to use them now and actually put ourselves in good stead and reach a good position. Because if we don't get top 4 and then we see the likes of Salah leave, possibly Alisson, we never know, possibly McAllister, other big players could leave this team. It's going to be an even harder job. So we need to make the change now and risk it, because at the moment, I'm not seeing signs from us with Chelsea improving, United improving, Villa where they are, that we're going to even make top 4. So we have to gamble and take the risk.
The Chelsea thing, I don't see that lasting with Liam Rosenior. No disrespect to Rosenior as well. I'm not somebody who has any particular strong opinion of him. I just think he's potentially underqualified for such a large job. That was a very funny quote. I think he's actually, to be honest, I think he's quite a likable guy. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he is. I just think potentially he wasn't doing particularly wonderful things at Strasbourg. They were 7th in the league. They spent a lot of money to finish 7th. I don't know. It feels like very much a company man signing. I hope.
Yeah.
And I wish him the very best. I got no ill feeling towards him. I don't see that flame fanning particularly bright at Chelsea for the rest of the season. I think they'll be okay. United, to be fair, unprecedented, phenomenal. Like genuinely, I watched their last 2 games. It's the best United have been since maybe their best time under Mourinho. I think performance-wise, it's the most United they've looked since maybe prime time under Ollie. Like, you know what I mean? There's like some good things there that are really hard to digest as a Liverpool fan.
Prime time under Ollie.
Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they play some fucking lovely football.
No, they did. I've never thought I'd hear someone say prime time under Ollie. Like,
I know that's such a maybe I should have worded that better, but
I love it.
I think so I think Liverpool right now, if all the jokes aside, with 40 minutes in here, I'll ask you this rather than stating it. Do you think the reason that the trigger is not being pulled on Slot, or maybe one of the reasons, is the Champions League is still there and they want to see how he does in the Champions League? Because realistically, I'm not saying this will happen, but if I say to you, top 5 finish and Champions League is won, I'm not saying all's forgiven, but my God, that smooths a lot of cracks over. And they could be looking at it as Isak's coming back. People are coming back from injury. The Premier League, you're probably getting top 5. I know we're all crisis management. I get that. Liverpool, for me, I'd be shocked if we didn't finish top 5. I really would be. I still don't see it. So you think top 5. There's a chance there for the Champions League. Do you think they're just going, he seems to be working well in the Champions League. We beat Real Madrid. We beat Atletico Madrid. We beat Marseille. Do you think that potentially is what it is? They see his football as the ideal approach for the Champions League at the moment, and maybe they're just like, let's see if that pays dividends?
It's the only reason I can think of. It's the only reason I can think of.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Slot, he keeps going on about low blocks, and in Europe, you're not going to face many of them. Teams are a lot more expansive, a lot more open. And I do agree. I think it is a case of the saying, right, if we can go far in that, if we can make a push for it, brilliant. But there's just no guarantee. Of course, there's no guarantees, but like, it's such a gamble to say, right, this manager who can't string successive wins in the Premier League or even pick one up at the minute is going to go into Europe and beat the best of the best, game in, game out, and win us the trophy. The odds of that are slim. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason only a few managers have done it in our history. It's almost impossible to do. To gamble on that and say, us winning the Champions League will keep him in the job, but we might have to sacrifice top 4, top 5, is a big, big game to play, a big risk from them. So I think you're right.
I think that there is a thing there of, you got Brighton at home next in the FA Cup. We're in the Champions League still. There could really be, I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying I support this idea, but they could look at it as, if you go bring the FA Cup back, if you go bring the Champions League back and you finish top 5, that would be enough. That's 2 trophies. Or if you bring back just the Champions League, that's a trophy. And that's a massive trophy. Yeah, if you just bring back the Champions League, I know it sounds like I know that sounds so like that tongue in cheek when I say it, but they may genuinely, they may see that, and maybe that's his play. Maybe he is in these meetings when they're having them going, listen, I know we were meant to go for the league again this season. I know we have a strong squad, but X, Y, Z has happened. Some reasonable excuses, some unreasonable excuses, right? I really do think there are plenty of unreasonable excuses that he could have easily pulled, but he can sit there and go, we're still very strong in the Champions League. We still look good in the Champions League. We have beaten this team, and this team in the Champions League. There's been 2 unconvincing moments in the Champions League. It was PSV and Galatasaray. Everything else, I think we've looked fine.
I think that second half against Atletico as well was a dodgy.
Yeah, it was dodgy. I let that to Atletico being Atletico in a way. But in hindsight, maybe not. But the Real Madrid performance was phenomenal. The Villa performance that followed was phenomenal. Well, not phenomenal. It was very good. I don't want to say phenomenal now. But
Inter Milan as well.
Inter Milan was, I know, listen, it wasn't a good performance on the ball, but you got the job done in one of the hardest places to go. Like, I don't know, maybe that's how they view it. Do you view it the same, or do you think sack that, get him gone now, and start afresh? Like, are you completely done, or is there any way Slot can rope you back in? For me, I just want the club to do well. If Slot gets sacked to do that, then it is what it is. I hold no grudge towards the man, but I just don't like the direction the club's going.
No, I'm agree with it. I agree that I just don't like where we are. And do you know what? It's strange for me to say this, but I've got a bit of sympathy now for Man United supporters over the past few years, whereby they've kept saying, what's the point in sacking the manager? Because who's out there that you're going to bring in? You know, no manager's going to come in and fix it. And like the comment says here, no matter who/when they need reinforcements, we can have all the energy in the world, but without any centre-backs, we're getting set up to fail. I don't think they chop because I don't see them given finances. It is a big worry, is no matter who we bring in, no one is going to be able to get a tune out of this squad, but it doesn't mean I want to see us pack it in. I still want to see us try. And it feels as though at the moment, everyone's either too cautious or doesn't want to put the foot on the gas. Or when we do get into attacking situations, the decision-making is not there. It's like it's been coached out of them. It's like it's been completely, because he said himself, he doesn't want to see us playing risky football and risky passes. In this situation, we need that more than ever. It's easy for us to control the tempo of the game and control possession when we're dominating teams. We're not. We're not dominating anyone. And when we are, we're still conceding goals. So I don't think that slot's going to change. He's too stubborn to change. No matter who's in the team, no matter what the situation is, he's going to play the same brand of football, and it's not working. We need someone who's going to come in and try and shake things up a bit. And I just think Alonso at the moment, the club would be daft not to have him on the radar or at least be in discussions like we've heard.
Well, right,
and when we're getting linked with players who we'll touch on in a moment shortly on Adam Wharton, the club are future planning. They are preparing for what comes next. And I don't think the way that they're saying, you know, there were rumours that we didn't get Heitinger back because they're unsure of slot. We didn't go in and sign this player because they're unsure of slot. If you back your manager, you back him. If you're unsure, you clearly don't rate him or have much faith in him. So we either need to shit and get off the pot and get Alonso in, which I would prefer to do at this point because we can't risk not getting top 4, or you can stick with him. But there's no guarantee that things are going to improve under him because he's given me no reason to think, yeah, things are going to improve. I'm yet to see any signs that they are, other than the occasional win.
Yeah, it has been a drag of a season. And then obviously in January, Liverpool missed out on Mark Guy and also missed out on Antoine Semenyo. Looking towards the summer, there seems to be 2 players that keep coming around in chatter. I like the 2 links personally, and that's Adam Wharton and Van der Veen. Supposedly, that would have been part of the negotiation with Spurs as well. For Robertson, we get sort of first contact with Van der Ven. I can see that being a conversation on the side, but also at the same time, I think we go for Van der Ven regardless. Van der Ven does make a lot of sense for Liverpool. I really do think that. Can play either side, can play fullback. Young, he's 24. He's going to run you about 40 mil because of Spurs' positioning. I do think he'd be a very good signing for us. Now, Adam Wharton's really the main conversation. You want to lead this one? I think you know more than I do.
Well, yeah, the conversation is supposedly Liverpool are in discussions with Palace for Adam Wharton, whether or not that's for now or for summer, who knows. But I think with Glasner leaving, Gahey leaving, Mateta might be soon leaving, Wharton's looking at it and thinking, nah, this is it's a mess. They're going through that sort of spell that Southampton did where they kept getting cherry picked and eventually the players just go, nah, I'm not having this. But I think Adam Wharton would be brilliant regardless of whether it's slot coming in or whether it's Alonso. He's a very versatile player in that sort of deep position in terms of his overall, like, the way he plays is in the top 9% for successful passes, key passes, expected assists, but he's also very high in his defensive metrics. He is in the top 12% of Premier League midfielders for tackles. He's on 2.6 per 90, top 27% for interceptions, top 25% for ground duels won. Like, he sounds as though he's the Zubimendi style player that Liverpool wanted last summer, not the one just gone, but the one before. And I think we need that. As much as Gravenberg's great at points, he's great when he's dropping into that back line and he sits deep. I don't think he's got the sort of creativity that we need from that central area sometimes. It feels as though it's very much... When you had Trent, you could excuse that because you had an outlet on the right-hand side, whereas now it feels as though there's a very real lack of creativity in the middle. And I think Wharton can play that because he's so good when he's under pressure. It's impossible to get the ball off the point. And we saw against Chelsea even... He got sent off, daft twat, whatever. But he's very good when players are closing him down and he can pick a pass. And at the moment, that's what we need. Because under pressure, we seem to panic and we don't have an outlet. So I would be happy
him in January.
No, I don't think. It's apparently around about 60 to 80 million or something like that. I don't think we will. But I think that there will be discussions with Palace. Because if you've got Glasner leaving, I don't think he's going to see the season out, Glasner. I do think he'll still be getting sacked at some point.
He seems desperate to leave.
Yeah, he said those comments, didn't he, the other week, and they just got thumped by Chelsea. They haven't won one game in 8. He's desperate to go. Gahey haven't left. I think I wouldn't be shocked if we were to make a move for him to try and maybe salvage the season, what have you, especially with injuries. So I wouldn't be stunned, but I do think this is more of a summer deal, which will be determined by who the manager is coming in, because I think he's prime Xabi Alonso player, Adam Wharton.
Yeah, I think Wharton signs for me regardless of who's in charge. With Liverpool taking on this head coach thing now, I think that goes under the radar a little bit. The signings are going to happen for the most part regardless of who's in charge. They're signing for the club, not the manager now. I think he'd be a very good signing. 65 to 75 mil, I think is a great deal for him considering his age.
He's going the World Cup as well. He is going to start for England, let's face it.
Oh, 100%. Listen, I would love to sign him. I prefer to sign him now because I think we need him now. We need that man in there. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I don't think Liverpool make any moves, but I suppose if you are going to keep Slot, now would be, you know what I mean? If you're trying to win fans back over, bring in a new signing like that makes all the difference. That can make the difference. That can change things around. There have been seasons where you've seen it where one signing, Van Dijk came in that January, transformed us. You know what I mean? I think you bring in one player, you can completely transform the outlook of a team, and we are weak in that position. The fact we haven't moved for a centre-back in January, I think it's insane. Joe Gomez is injured, Konate is grieving, and, you know, best to him and his family. It's tragic what happened. But the fact that currently we have Van Dijk and Endo. They're our centre-backs going into Qarabag. Van Dijk's 34 years old. I think he's played every game this season.
Do you think there's a sort of, because obviously Robbo is staying now, by all reports. Paul Joyce said he's pulled out of it. We've pulled out of the deal with Tottenham. Do you think that is us saying Robert, because Tsimikas is still coming back, let's not forget, by all accounts. Do you think that's us saying Robbo is... I've heard something like they've said that they're bringing in a new left back and he's allowed to return to us. So
okay,
that's
sorry. And what were you saying? All right. Well, and what were you saying?
This was me. My thought process is I think Liverpool are looking at Robbo and thinking you're going to be a centre back option and Tsimikas is going to be the backup left back.
I can see that for the remainder of the season. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I can see that absolutely. I think we've seen Robbo play centre back now more than a few times in the slot to where that's been sort of an accepted role for him. Listen, he's average there. He can do a job for you in the same way. Average at best. He can do a job for you at centre back the same way Endo can do a job for you at centre back, but he's not a centre back, and he's not a player that can play both centre back and left back. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, to be honest, but I can't quite figure out what's happened. I just can't. I know we're coming to the end of the show now. Listen, we got Qarabag when? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Qarabag's Wednesday 28th.
Okay, so you got Qarabag Wednesday, and then on the weekend, what is it, Saturday, Sunday, and who is it?
Newcastle on Saturday.
At home. Early kickoff or late kickoff? I feel like we got to be on TV for that.
8 o'clock, 8 p.m. kickoff, that one. Yeah.
Fucking brilliant. I'll be up all hours.
12 in the morning for you, that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, Newcastle have been dreadful recently. Like, dreadful. This could be a ruthless week for us. This could be a fucking ruthless. Quarterbags away.
Yeah.
And this could be a disgusting week. Oh, my Lord.
Qarabag's at home. Qarabag one.
Is it? So it's back-to-back home?
Back-to-back home games, because we've got it's Qarabag at home, Newcastle at home, and then I think we've got a week off, and then it's City at home as well. I'm sure we've got like 3 matches in a row.
Oh, my Lord.
Let's have a look.
That week, yeah. If you walk away with anything less than 6 points from these next 2 games, I struggle. I'm struggling with
4 of our next 5 matches are home games. And I think that'll be the sort of the breaking point for Slot. Like you've got a run of a Qarabag team people have never heard of, a Newcastle team who've just been beaten 2-0 by Villa at home. City, fair enough. Yeah, you can sort of maybe excuse that. And then you've got Sunderland away, who have dipped in form, but it's still going to be difficult. And then Brighton at home. And I think that's going to be the stretch. I'm going
to be honest, yeah, this run does not look good for us. If I'm being honest, I'm a very optimistic fan. I think you beat Qarabag midweek. I think we probably draw to Newcastle. I've got a feeling we'll draw to City. I have a feeling we're going to lose away at Sunderland. And I have a feeling we'll beat Brighton.
I mean,
I don't even think if we get that far.
Let me pitch this scenario to you just quickly before we leave, right?
Pitch away.
We beat Qarabag, do whatever with Newcastle, and we go into that City game, right? Now, let's say Arsenal have dropped points. And if City beat us, they overtake. Yeah. Like
I'm a Liverpool fan.
I know, but just imagine
don't get me wrong, the timeline will be a mess. And if we lose the game, I also would still kind of make jokes and pretend I'm not asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be honest, listen, I'll be honest, I don't want Arsenal to win the league. I don't enjoy the way they play football. I respect Arteta and what he's built. I respect Arsenal as a football club, as an institution. I just really don't enjoy the way they play football. I think it's one of the reasons the Premier League has gone the way it has.
Yeah,
more
boring.
often than not, the clubs below copy the teams on top. It's the same way when Pep came in, suddenly every team was trying to play expansive football. Now everyone's seeing Arsenal's way, and now you've got every team in the Premier League, including Liverpool, playing boring football, time wasting. The only clubs that really seem to have any sort of personality and way of playing anymore is Man City, Sunderland, Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Spurs. They're the six that come to mind when I think of actual identity and way of playing. The majority, the majority, time waste, throw it out, play injured on the floor, depend on set pieces, play it long, play dead on the floor some more. Like they you know what I mean? I just don't enjoy this anymore in that respect. And I do think but in saying that, I respect the fact of what Arteta's built. I think Arteta has brought the best out of some players. I think if they win the league, they deserve to win the league. Like I said at the start of the episode, if you win the league, you've earned it. And if they win the league, hold my hands up. Well done. Credit. Brilliant. I just don't want them to win the league because I hate the way some talk about them. And I don't like the players reflect the manager. And there's just a lot about it I don't enjoy. I really enjoyed Arsenal under Wenger when they were successful, when they were whatever. Arsenal's Wenger was unbelievable. You look back on it, it's the same way with Pep City. I despise them because they won so much from us, but at the same time, you couldn't help but appreciate the club that they were.
Yeah.
Chelsea under Mourinho, even though they were so defensive, there was something beautiful about how they were as a club, like Drogba. You know what I mean? There was something wonderful. Liverpool under Klopp, brilliant. Arsenal under Arteta just doesn't feel. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old man. Maybe fucking. Maybe Declan Rice is Steven Gerrard reincarnated. I don't know.
Oh, he's fucking not. He lives off those free kicks against Madrid, and everyone acts like he's the best thing on planet Earth.
The thing is, Declan Rice is an unbelievable player, but as soon as you start comparing him to Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard, I'm sorry, you instantly invalidate. It's the same way like Saka. Saka's a brilliant player. He's not Ronaldo. This is what happens.
I think Saka's overrated, if I'm being honest. I think he's good. I think he's class, but I don't think he's quite there yet. Do you know what I mean?
I actually was having this conversation. I think Saka's been stifled by the way Arteta plays football.
Yeah, he has. If he went to somewhere a bit more free flowing, I'm not saying they're both brilliant players. Rice, especially, I do agree with that. But like it says here, Saka's not world class. He's just not. He's good on the ball. It's at the minute, it just feels very Alan St. Maximin, Jeremy Doku. It's all fart, no shit. I'm yet to
see. I don't know. For me, he's a world-class player in the wrong setup. I can't believe I'm backing here for a fucking Arsenal guy. I think he's a world-class player stifled in the setup. Like,
I agree.
I'm not comparing him to this player, but the way we use Salah in his prime years is how we should have used. They should have built their forward line around Saka, and they haven't. And it baffles me that they didn't do that. Everything should have been going to him. Instead, they brought Gyökeres in, and less said the better. But all the same, that was another wonderful episode of an unnamed podcast with you and I. We'll eventually
come up with a name.
We'll come up with a name eventually. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you didn't enjoy, please hit the subscribe button. Turn the notification bell on. We really do appreciate it. Hit a like, drop a comment, share it to a friend, stranger, enemy, hairdresser, barber, uncle, nephew, niece, mother, grandmother, grandfather, whoever you see on the street. We really do appreciate it. Word of mouth is the best way to spread. And we will see you guys next time.